Hey, Brandon, thanks for joining us here. Move Nutrition. We're excited to talk to you. You have a big announcement as far as a new product coming out. But very quickly, tell me a little bit about NutraShure and just give me a quick overview of the ingredients that you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Todd, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's a great opportunity, and yeah, so NutraSure, we're actually going to have our 3-year anniversary tomorrow.
Nice.
So we're really excited for that. We've been chugging along, adding more and more ingredients as time has gone on, and we've continued to grow as an organization. One of the cool things with NutraSure is, I was able to build a remote-based company. I have a team of 6 right now, and we're kind of spread throughout the U.S. And we're global. We're a global organization at this point now, and yeah, I mean, in terms of ingredients, we carry. One of our main ones is a 3D pump breakthrough, which is a patented blend of citrulline, glycerol, and amla fruit. We did like a comparison study of that against 8 grams of pure L-citrulline. We have a patented polyphenol-rich sugarcane extract that's kind of like more in the antioxidant, cosmeceutical space. Has a lot of different mechanisms of action that it kind of does, but general wellness is kind of the target there. And again, kind of nutraceutical or cosmeceutical is kind of the target demographic for that one. We have SA3X, which is a men's health ingredient, for men's sexual health, performance, increasing muscle mass and strength. So yeah, it plays a role in kind of like those test boosters and men's health products. And then our last one is Beta Prime, which is a patented blend of 3 ingredients: theanine, jujube, and celastrus. Basically, this is meant to mitigate the paresthesia that comes with beta alanine. So maybe
Okay.
you're beginners or people who maybe don't like the feeling. They almost feel like it's like an allergic reaction or
Mhm.
whatever from your pre-workout. Beta Prime was designed, kind of to mitigate that. It doesn't completely remove it, but it definitely lowers it dramatically. So
Yeah.
allows you to actually either take more beta alanine or kind of mitigate, still get the performance benefits without the negative feelings. So
Yeah. Just curious. You seem to be pretty well diversified in terms of ingredients. Was that intentional, or are you looking at ingredient opportunities as they come in and evaluating? Yeah, we want to take this or not, or are you thinking more holistically in terms of a basket of ingredients that hit diverse markets?
yeah, so I kind of look at what are market trends, what are things that are really truly contribute to like human optimization and health. How can we innovate in that space? Ideally, I try to either partner with somebody and license, which the 4 other ingredients I don't own IP on,
Mhm.
but I license that technology from them. In our new ingredient that's coming out, I'm actually one of the co-inventors on it. But I look for areas that are key, that drive human nutrition. Find a way that how can we make a really cool story behind it. It's got to be effective. It's also got to be meet the economic model. Look, you can come out with the best ingredient possible, but if it costs $25 a serving, you're not going to get it
Right.
out
Yeah, exactly.
off the ground. So there's a lot of box that we did check before we consider moving forward with the ingredient. I have a pipeline. We obviously were launching BioMend next week, and then with that we have at least 4 more ingredients that I'm currently actively working on in the pipeline, and that's just as of today. So
Yeah, well, that's exciting, and to keep up with the ingredient talk. I mean, let's just get it out there. Biomed's coming out in a week. I have to say, just and I'm not on social media very much, but every time I've gone on LinkedIn, I mean, there's Biomed stuff out there, right? I mean, you have
yeah.
done a fantastic job of putting something out there that's or putting a lot of marketing materials and messaging out there that's kind of getting the market hyped up about it. So congratulations on that. Do you want to talk a little bit about basically what it is and some of the reasons for bringing this product to market?
Yeah, so I'll say this: it's been a project that I've been working on for about 2 years, and it's actually kind of cool that like we're literally right here at the goal line, going in on it. And you know, we initially were like, oh, this is a good idea. I think we're going down the right path. But as as things have progressed, we realized like, wow, this is a home run. This may even be a grand slam. So in the category of ingredient that it is, it's a short chain fatty acid, specifically a butyrate source. So obviously butyrate, is gaining more and more attention, but what ultimately comes down to the problem with it is it's formulation challenges, right? You're not going to have like, it tastes and smells horrendous. I mean, look, that's why, rancid butter has its smell. That's what it's from.
Yeah.
It's from the butyric acid. It's found in vomit.
You probably have some war stories to tell about formulations, right?
Oh, God, yeah, it's terrible to work with. And but believe it or not, the actual reason we went through the discovery here with BioMend was we were trying to actually find a butyrate source that, like, you have really right now commercialized. There's two options. You got a tributylin, or you're going to go with a sodium butyrate. Challenges with tributylin, you may just have just gut health benefits. And look, butyrate plays a significant role well throughout the systemic body. So you're hitting at multiple different areas that you're not able to necessarily capture on with tributylin. Again, formulation challenge. It's an oil, so it's not going to be in solid state form for formulation wise. And again, the organoleptics are terrible too. So taste and smell are awful. Sodium butyrate, soluble in water, not a problem there. But again, taste and smell becomes a problem. And then you also get a pretty decent load of sodium, right? If you want to get a large dose of butyrate, you're also going to get a large dose of sodium too. So this is kind of contraindicated in maybe people who, maybe on a low sodium diet or have high blood pressure and whatnot. And look, butyrate has some cardiovascular benefits. So, why would we want to limit that or potentially put that type of person at risk? So we went into this with trying to find a butyrate source that was not, going to cause a big sodium load. But believe it or not, what we ended up finding is this is where like it kind of becomes, almost serendipitous that this happened. We went through 10 different amino acids that we wanted to try to see if we can form an ionic salt with. And only 2 worked. One was arginine. Problem with that one was it was extremely hygroscopic. And then we also found out there was an investigative new drug application on it. So that one was dead in the water.
Okay.
But the other one that worked was lysine. So that's what we ended up launching with BioMend was L-lysine butyrate. So one of the things that we stumbled upon this was that it significantly reduced the odor from it, right? So it has like a smell of like if I were to say characteristic wise, it'd be like white cheddar popcorn.
Okay.
So I get a lot of times like, oh, it smells like smart food. Right. But what's crazy is like when it goes into stuff, it is completely tasteless. And I think that's one of the things that's really kind of like going back to your point of, we've really kind of gotten it out there. People are talking about it. So I've been doing like I'm as a foodie, my dad was a chef and works in the food service industry. I love to cook. It's one of the things I do. So I've been trying to like test it out in a bunch of different various food applications, more so than just, dietary supplements. So I bought one of those Ninja Creamies. We made like a low calorie ice cream, and I put 2 grams of our material in there, which is, if you put 2 grams of anybody else's stuff out there, it's not going to fly.
You're going to notice.
Yeah. My 3-year-old was asking for more ice cream. So she did not know the difference. So then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try it. And, I woke up the one morning, we were going to make waffles for breakfast. I'm like, I'll just throw it in the batter and see how that works. Right. Because I know that it wouldn't have any issues in terms of heat. It's not going to alter the molecule or anything. So we have no, it's completely stable up to, at least 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So baking is not a problem. Gave the waffles to my 3-year-old, which I'm sure if you know how 3-year-olds are, they're about as picky as they come.
And super honest, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, and she was asking for more waffles, which is surprising in and of itself, whether that was in there or not. But the fact that it was in there and she was still asking for more is pretty substantial. So and I've even gone so far as there's a very plausible reason for why butyrate should be found in infant formulas.
Hmm.
So like breast milk actually has a very high concentration of butyric acid. But one of the challenges, again, for infant formulas is there's nothing commercially viable for this. I've actually been giving some to my infant son. Now, I don't advise this at this point, right? Because
Yeah.
we haven't done any clinical trials on infants. This is just me being a stupid father, and knowing, like, trusting my expertise on this to
This
give
is
my son.
dad and product formulator all come together in the kitchen,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly. And I put it in his formula, and like I'll say this is that there's my son has been very fussy, and he's had some big GI issues since being born. And again, maybe it's just me being biased because I'm a co-inventor on it, but we've definitely, my wife and I have noticed some big improvements there. So I
interesting.
think that that's one of the things that we want to look at longer term is, like, going through the process of doing some infant research, and going through infant grass as well. Um, you know, uh, Look, let's be honest. What's nice about this is because it's an ionic salt, based off of the FDA's ruling on it, it falls under ODI. A hydrosoluble ionic salt, so something that basically is fully soluble and actually ends up, ultimately breaking apart. The FDA looks at the individual constituents, right? So they're looking at L-lysine and looking at butyric acid,
Hmm.
and both are fall under ODI. So this is safe from that perspective. Both of those ingredients are already recognized as FDA GRAS, as flavor additives. So in terms of that, like, if you were looking at it as just a simple butyrate source that's tasteless, we're fully compliant there. If you want to make X claims, we're probably going to have to do further GRAS work. If you want to have like a more specific reason for taking it. So,
Yeah,
um,
understood.
but yeah, so that's kind of like, the nutshell with it. And
Yeah, that's
that's
great. What?
very
So,
good.
well, sorry, I was wondering. So, just if you could sum up, if you're sitting across from a brand, and
Mhm.
I'll let you choose. Is it a supplement brand? Is it a functional food brand? What's that quick pitch to them? What are you telling them? Like, why should they take this on board and start formulating with it?
Look, I'll say this is, again, there's been insane amount of research that's been done on butyrate. So uh, my simple pitch is to literally taste this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I look, we did it as we exhibited this at the What's Up with Subs event last week at Supply Side East, and my intent with that was to mix it in with different flavored proteins. It actually ended up working better in just pure water.
Oh,
Which,
interesting.
again, going back to the whole fact of the taste and smell of what's on the market currently,
Yeah.
um, you know there's no way. Like, I actually had one person like, "Come on, man, really? You're really gonna make me do this?"
Yeah.
And I was
Well,
like,
that's
"I'm like,
fascinating because given the audience there, and for people that may not know, what's up with subs events, or supplement industry, mostly. There are a lot of scientists there. There are a lot of product formulators. There's a lot of marketing. People from the industry. So it's not like you're talking about people who aren't educated on the topic of formulation and whether or not they can notice a difference. So to give them water and BioMend's mixed in there and they can't tell the difference, that says a whole lot.
Yeah, it was actually a really cool demonstration because it's extremely soluble to the point of which you do not even have to agitate it to get into water. So what I would do is I would have them smell the powder. Like, okay, look here, you can smell the kind of white cheddar smell, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Now I dumped it in the water, let them literally just watch it melt into water without stirring it or anything. It takes about a minute and a half to for 2 grams to go into water. And then I said, all right, now smell it. You can barely smell it when it's in water. And I said, now taste it. And most people either said they can't taste it at all, it's just pure water, or that they can just pick up a very slight hint of it. So, and that's with no flavor, no mascara, no nothing. So,
Yeah, that's
that
amazing.
people were blown away at the fact that we could just put it in pure water and there was nothing there.
Yeah, great. Well, let me take it a step further. So that's the discussion around what you might talk to formulators about at a brand at one of your customers. And as you know, Move Nutrition, our main audience are nutritionists, dietitians, trainers who are interested in talking about nutrition with their clients. So, do you have any talking points for them? In terms of once this gets out on the market and it's in products, what would say a dietitian, sports dietitian talk to their athletes about and with this ingredient.
Absolutely. So, look, we all know fiber, right? And the reason that we take fiber is ultimately to get to, yes, it itself can help, especially insoluble fibers, can play a role in, regularity and stuff. But at the end of the day, one of the things that you're trying to get to with fibers is that fermentation in the gut to what the byproducts are from microbial fermentation. One of
Mm-hmm.
the primary ones is, it's short chain fatty acids, but one of the main ones is butyrate, right? So one of the things that you have to be concerned about, especially with, like maybe athletes and stuff that may not be following, the best diets, especially if they're younger, it, it may take time for one, for them to start producing enough butyrate if they're in the process of trying to quote unquote fix their gut, right? So they have to get fiber consistently over time to then, again, if they've been eating a poor diet for a long period of time, chances are that, the butyrogenic bacteria in the gut, they're it's very small in colonization, right? So their concentration is going to be very small, and over time they'll grow. And look, the microbiome changes, literally daily, right, hourly, depending on meals. But to get a consistent increase in butyrate, this provides you now with kind of almost that adjunct of giving somebody, hey, here's butyrate that is used. 70% of butyrate produced in the colon is used as colonocyte energy. So the epithelial cells in the colon use that for energy, and this plays a very big role in like tight junctions and leaky gut, right? So in the easiest way I usually explain to people is like, think of the tight junctions, right? It's a space between the cells, and when they're weak, they're not really strong and they can't really hold on, and the gap kind of separates, and that's what causes leaky gut syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a very oversimplified aspect, right? If they start eating the healthy stuff and the stuff that they love to eat, aka butyrate, they're going to get stronger. They're going to be able to hold on more, right? And that's gonna strengthen the tight junctions and minimizing some of that leaky gut issues that people may have, especially like in athletes or like runners. It's very common. So
Mm-hmm.
so this is something that as PhD student in nutrition, this is something that I try to make sure that focus on is like, hey, look, let's find ways of getting more butyrate in it. Another thing that we actually found with that actually made L-lysine butyrate so significant too is there's 4 different pathways that bacteria can convert random things to butyric acid. One of those is the lysine pathway. So lysine actually itself can be fermented into butyric acid. So almost that amino acid ends up almost acting as if it's a prebiotic as well. And there has been, commensal bacteria that's been discovered in humans that we have the strains that actually have the lysine pathway. That basically now we essentially have is an amino acid-esque prebiotic with the actual end product as well.
Excellent. Well, great. All right. So May 1st is the date, right? So I
Yep.
assume, given the amount of hype so far, I assume, if people tune in to either your LinkedIn channel or on the website, the NutraShure website, you're going to see something about it May 1st, and they can get more information by contacting you, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. So.
Excellent. Well, hey, let's just take a couple minutes. I'm just curious, like really quickly, like you said, you're about to celebrate your 3-year anniversary as a company. Um, Tell us how you got into the industry, because you've done a lot in the last 3 years. I think I've known you for about like maybe one, and it just seems like even in that year you've accomplished a lot and you're moving forward quickly. So tell us how you got involved and started the company.
So I was a wrestler, growing up, and so nutrition and exercise were always a massive part of my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Um, when I went off to college, my undergrad degree is in exercise science, but I had always had a massive fascination in dietary supplements, and I would spend hours upon hours researching ingredients and what works for this and how do I build more muscle. And sports nutrition was like kind of my cornerstone of what I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Um, but and I got started actually as a part-time sales associate at GNC, probably like a vast majority of the people in this industry, whether it was GNC or Vitamin Shop,
Right. Right.
and basically kind of expanded from there. I've worked for some of the large brands. I was actually at Cellucor when C4 first launched, which
Oh, okay.
can kind of show you how long I've been around. So. I was on that team. I actually had my own sports nutrition company that Myochem, that I sold in 2016. Is founded that in 2014. For anybody who follows the website stack3d.com, we were named Brand of the Year in 2014, our first year of business.
Wow, that's
Um,
excellent.
and then I sold that company in 2016, and then I kind of shifted more onto the B2B side, and really kind of found like where I love and excel, and that's on the ingredient innovation space, and
Yeah.
this is kind of where I'm at now. So
Yeah, no, that's completely apparent. You can, your passion comes through as far as looking at new ingredients and benefits and things like that. It's almost like you took what you were doing as a kid, wrestling and experimenting with different supplements to see what. It's almost like you just took that to the next level, and now you're doing it, at a deeper level, full time, and that's pretty cool. That's
yeah,
no one could wish for
yeah,
better than that as far as career interests. So that's
yeah.
great.
It worked out very, very well. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and one last question, given our audience, I'm always curious, like, as far as sports and active nutrition goes, and particularly because, all right, so you're going after your PhD, you're running this company, you have two small kids at home, obviously busy. So tell me if you have any advice for the audience in terms of staying fit, how you do it, for you on a very busy schedule, what's that look like for you?
Yeah, I think, one of the biggest things is, I come from the mindset that you will prioritize what you want to, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want something bad enough, you will find time to do it, right? So if you prioritize your health, you will find time. Maybe that's you got to wake up an extra 30 minutes early, or maybe it's, you put something off for, 20 or 30 minutes.
Hmm.
I've gotten really effective at balancing my time and knowing what I'm really good at and what I'm also not really good at. And I try to either delegate or, eliminate the things that I'm not good at. And the things that I am really good at. So, again, being a PhD student, and running a business, you know, fortunately enough, a lot of those things cross over, right?
Yeah.
So I don't try to do extra work, right? Like my dissertation area is not on a category that I'm not, focused on,
Yeah.
generating revenue from at some point.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
so all my research focuses on that. So I cross over those things, and I make time for my family because it's important. I have a
Mhm.
strong family that I grew up from, and I want the same for my children. And I know that I can't be, I can't show them the good, the types of good habits that are needed to excel in life if I'm not staying healthy, right?
Yeah.
So, look, I'm not perfect. Nobody is, right?
Yeah.
And I work out when I try, and I try to stay active, and I try to encourage. The same thing I tell my wife is like, look, just move that day. That's all you
Mhm.
can. That's what matters. Maybe it's not the best workout that you get, but if you can give 100% of what you have in the tank, so maybe it's only 10%, but if you gave 100% of that 10% that day, that's an accomplishment, and you just keep focusing on that every day because
Yeah.
not every day is going to be 10%. Some days are going to be 100%, and you're going to be those days you're going to be seeing leaps and bounds forward. So just keep
Absolutely.
moving.
Yeah, I think so. Prioritization is huge, and also the fact it's hard sometimes to see this on the other or before you kind of make being fit, staying fit a priority. But once you do, on the other side of that, like your workout for the day or whatever it is, things, at least for me, tend to click a lot better once I've gotten that in, and it's like one of those small wins. You've got that done. It's in the bank. You're feeling good about it for all kinds of reasons, mental and physical. And then other things start to roll smoother than a day where I skip it and then I roll into the office. I'm like, all right, I got to get things done. It's like the theme of that day looks a lot different than the theme of the day where I'm like, all right, I'm going to get up and go do this. So
Yeah, for sure. Like, for me, like I try to get outside and walk. I know, it's not high intensity, but like I find that I think so much clearer when I can get out for a walk.
absolutely. Yeah. Just
It,
the fresh air alone is awesome.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. So
yeah, great. Well, hey, I mean, it sounds like it's working. So we're looking forward to, next week when this comes out, and then, and seeing where you take it from there. So thanks very much for spending a few minutes.
awesome. I appreciate it, Todd. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thanks, Brandon.